Gather close if you dare. For tonight we descend into the true history of Halloween. It's not the plastic pumpkins, not the candy aisles. The old story, the one that begins over 2,000 years ago in the cold, mist-covered hills of ancient Ireland, Scotland and the Isle of Man. Slowly it begins with Samhain. The Celts called it Samhain, summer's end, thoughtful for them. The year turned on this single sacred night. No, the harvest was gathered, the herds were brought down from the hills, and as the last light of autumn faded into the long dark of winter, the Celts believed something extraordinary happened. The veil between our world and the world of the dead grew thin, so thin that spirits could cross over. Curious, some of those spirits were kind. The ghosts of ancestors welcomed home with a place set at the table. But others, ominous, others were not so kind. To keep them at bay, the Celts lit enormous bonfires on hilltops, offering crops and animals to their gods. And here's where the story truly begins to take shape. Because to avoid being recognised by the wandering dead, people disguised themselves. Mischievously, they wore animal skins and heads, blackened their faces with ash, mipint. The very first Halloween costumes born not from fun, but from fear. For centuries, Samhain belonged only to the Celts, but empires rise and religions spread. When the Roman Empire conquered Celtic lands, two Roman festivals folded into Samhain, Feralia, a day to honour the dead, and a festival for Pomona, goddess of fruit and trees. Thoughtful. Some say this is where our tradition of bobbing for apples was born. Slowly then came the church. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated the 1st of November as All Saints' Day, a day to honour every saint and martyr. Some historians believe this was a deliberate move. Sarcastic, a clever attempt to replace a pagan festival with a church-sanctioned one. The night before All Saints' Day was called All Hallows' Eve, and Whispers must say it a few times quickly. All Hallows' Eve, All Hallows' Even is dramatically Halloween, but the old ways don't disappear so easily. You're curious, the church tried to Christianise Samhain, and yet the bonfires still burned. The costumes still walked the streets. The dead were still in the minds of the people, very much awake. And out of this collision between pagan memory and Christian tradition, our modern Halloween customs began to take their shape. Slowly. Take the jack-o'-lanterns. In Irish folklore, there was a man named Stingy Jack, a trickster who twice tricked the devil himself. When Jack finally died, thoughtful, heaven wouldn't take a soul so sinful, and the devil, still bitter from being outwitted, wouldn't take him either. So the devil sent him off into the night with nothing but a single burning coal to light his way. Jack placed that coal inside a hollowed-out turnip, and he has wandered the earth with it ever since. A lost soul, forever between worlds. The Irish called him Jack of the Lantern. Jack-o'-lantern. Families began carving frightening faces into turnips and beets, placing them in windows and doorways to frighten Stingy Jack and any other wandering spirit away from their homes. Curious, it wasn't until Irish immigrants arrived in America in the middle of the 1800s, fleeing the Great Famine, that the tradition found its now iconic form. Because in America there was a vegetable far better suited to the task. Slowly bigger, softer, easier to carve, the pumpkin or pause. And what of trick-or-treating? Sorted as thoughtful, its roots reach back to a medieval practice called souling. On All Souls' Day, the poor would travel door to door offering prayers for the dead in exchange for pastries called soul cakes. In Scotland and Ireland, this evolved into guising. Young people dressing in costume, going house to house, performing a song, a poem, a trick in exchange for food, coins or fruit. Mischievously, no performance, no reward. That's the deal that's older than you think. Slowly, when Irish and Scottish immigrants carried these customs across the ocean to America, Halloween began to change again. By the late 1800s, communities tried to shift the holiday away from ghosts and mischief and toward neighbourly gatherings, parties with games, seasonal food and costumes, but little of the frightening, supernatural elements that had once defined it. Curious, but you can't tame Samhain that easily. The early 20th century brought a wave of vandalism and pranking on Halloween night, so much so that some cities considered banning the holiday altogether. Thoughtful instead, communities encouraged trick-or-treating as a way to channel that mischief into something manageable, something that kept the peace and kept the tradition alive. By the 1950s, Halloween had transformed into the holiday many of us recognise, centred on children, candy and costumes, with the manufacturing industry rushing in to sell mass-produced outfits. And then came the fear, a different kind. In the 1980s, rumours and rare real cases of tampered candy spread panic across America, forever changing how parents viewed trick-or-treating. Slowly, hospitals began offering to x-ray candy, parents began inspecting every wrapper, the innocent exchange of soul cakes had become, in the modern age, an act requiring vigilance. And here we are, billions of dollars spent each year on costumes, decorations and candy. Haunted houses built as elaborate entertainment, tracing back to community efforts during the Great Depression to give young people something constructive to do on Halloween night. Pumpkin carving contests, horror movie marathons, curious, and yet beneath all the plastic, the string lights, the mass-produced masks, the bones of the old festival are still there if you know where to look in The bonfire is now a jack-o'-lantern's candle. The animal skin disguise is now a costume from the store. The offering to wandering spirits is now a bowl of candy left on the porch. Slowly, and the belief that once made the Celts light hilltop fires against the dark, the belief that on this one night, the boundary between the living and the dead grows thin. Pause, that belief has never really left us. It just changed its costume. So the next time you carve a pumpkin or knock on a stranger's door in the dark, remember, in whispers, you're not just celebrating a holiday. Slowly, you're keeping a fire lit that has been burning for over 2,000 years. Happy Samhain, dramatically happy Halloween, whispers until next time. From Dr. Hyde's lab, stay curious and stay spooked.